Williams veers left, pulls up, looking for the lead, and he got it. Jalen Williams, 2 seconds, 111-109. Now SGA probing, piercing, spinning, hanging for the lead, and SGA knocks it down. The Thunder finally get the defensive stop, and SGA puts them in front.
I'm Kenrich Williams. You're listening to Topic Thunder.
What up? What up, Thunder Chat? We have a surprise post-game pod. I'm just going to say right off the top, if you are already in here, the few of you that have already joined, we're going to be a little more chat engaged today. This is not a normal pod. It's not going to be on the podcast. It's just sort of a YouTube exclusive. We already have a couple of comments. Topher in the chat, of course, with the barking. We got more barking. Oh my God, we have so much barking in our chat already. We had Topic with his bark debut tonight. I think that's everybody at this point, but Wolf's in the chat, Bark's in the chat. Another Thunder dub. We're 4-0. We're going to give our initial reactions. We might have some other people hop on from the pod. We'll see, but I wanted to do this anyway. It's going to be pretty quick. If you are in our live chat, let me get rid of that. Just put it over there. If you're in our live chat, let me know who you want to talk about. Obviously, I have a few people, but if you have anyone in particular, have any thoughts, leave them in the live chat. Or if you're watching this later, leave them in the comments below. We'll check them out afterwards too. But Thunder win this game pretty handedly. It got close a couple points, but never really in much of a threat. Let me go ahead and double check the final score. 105-93. There was a lot to unpack. We're going to break it down in detail on Friday's pod as we do. That was the plan. But I want to just give my initial thoughts on stuff. Jeffrey, AJ Mitchell was great. We'll definitely talk about him. And you know what? Maybe we'll just talk about him first since you mentioned it in the chat. I have been surprised at AJ Mitchell. Not necessarily his performance, but just the amount of exposure he's been getting in these real minutes in these first 4 games. Dagnall mentioned that he was surprised by his, or not surprised, I should say. They were excited to see what he had as his potential, and I think that's sort of showing in the fact that he's getting these extra minutes. We also are going to real quick have another guest on, Dylan. Hello. I just started the live. Real quick, I didn't tell you this beforehand, but this isn't going to be. This is just real. This is like rapid fire stuff. This isn't going to go on the podcast. So I got the chat up. So we're just going to kind of like chill with the chat, see what they're saying, and just kind of fire from the hip. But we were talking about AJ Mitchell. So, very, very good game overall from him. 12 points, 4 rebounds. He had 2 steals, a couple of really good defensive plays in, again, like actual minutes that mattered. The lineup that was no Dub, Shai, or Chet in that fourth quarter included AJ Mitchell, and was a little bit surprising considering that they were only up at that point between like 7 to 10 points. But I don't know, the AJ Mitchell was definitely a force in that lineup that sort of kept them grounded a little bit. It made plays when he needed to. So I'm just, it has to be doing wonders for his confidence, because he's 4 games into his NBA career. He's making like actual impactful plays. And like I said, Mark and the coaching staff has said they saw something in him. And I think we're seeing it now too. I guess I missed it during the preseason because I was like a big Dylan Jones guy. I still am, but it's clear that between those 2 rookies, like AJ Mitchell is getting the more exposure. So
Yeah, no, I mean he's been insane, man. I mean, he's shown all the way going back to summer league, his ability to get to the rim is really impressive. Like he's super shifty, and his ability to get to the rim. And I mean that was on full showcase tonight, man. Like, he's kind of struggled to get his buckets in his NBA action. Like he's had consistent NBA minutes, throughout this season so far. But like tonight was the first time that the shot was really falling for him. Like he was able to he was knocking down shots. He had 4 points game too, but I think both of those buckets were in garbage time. But like this is not just like in the middle, like early on in the game. Like this is prime time, man. Like this is ESPN, like national television. Like this was the AJ Mitchell coming out party. And it's like if it stays trending in this direction, it's not crazy to think AJ Mitchell could make an all rookie team because the rookie class is so bad right now.
That had that same thought. I was like, like a lot of rookies aren't even getting like actual minutes that were lottery picks. You've got Reese Shai, I think, has been pretty good. Not necessarily on the stat sheet, but like just pretty good. And but I mean, besides that, yeah, I think he rookie of the year is a little bit. We'll give it some time, but I'm cooking up those thoughts. Those thoughts in my head are brewing right now because
rookie of the year is a little bit.
It's brewing. I'm not saying I'm putting it out there, but yeah, I mean, man, Topher in the chat was saying Presti executive of the year. I put something out on our Twitter about how like GMs have to be furious that he keeps finding these second round picks and just making them into these incredibly impactful players. So
it's literally Jesse Pinkman in Breaking Bad. Like he can't keep getting away with this, but he does.
Real quick, shout out Euro Thunder for the gifted chat. Not to put shade on Wemby, but he looked spooked in the NBA level game. Still looks too fast for him against serious matchup team like the Thunder. Yeah, we can pivot real quick to like I said, this isn't going to be like a normal pod. We're going to kind of just jump around, but Wemby. Here's the thing: the TNT halftime or not ESPN halftime broadcast. Perkins especially was really kind of going all in on Wemby and saying he's not ready for it. I don't know if I really agree with that. I'm not trying to be an apologist for Wemby, but like he's also on a team that has no spacing a lot of times, and with a team like the Thunder defensively that can swarm you, they were just kind of like not giving him any space. I also think the Spurs just aren't. He's like not getting touches a lot of times. Some of that's probably Wemby's fault, finding an open space. But I think also some of it is like the Spurs just not getting him the right environment, even with the lower skill level personnel. I don't know. I just felt kind of. I think there is something to be said about this. This was not a very impressive night from Wemby in general, but I think there's also something to be said with the Spurs not really using him the correct way.
Yeah, I can't sit here and tell you I've watched every Spurs game or anything like that, but like that was one of the whole reasons they brought in Chris Paul was his veteran leadership because they still have like postseason aspirations, like they want to be a play-in team or even push for the playoffs because Wemby was as good as he was last year. And I still think Wemby's a good player. And, Chris Paul, I mean, to his credit, I think he's played his best game of the season against us tonight. But I don't know, man. Like, in the past, Wemby was going, like, right at Chet. And Chet was not to the point where he was going right at Wemby. He was still trying to make the right basketball play. He was still trying to make the right team play. He's still doing that. But tonight felt different. Wemby went right at Chet from jump, and Chet blew up that lob, like, immediately. And I think that sent a message, that set a tone. Yeah. Because you didn't see Wemby going right at Chet anymore, but you saw something different in Chet Holmgren. He was hunting, he was attacking I mean, really anybody on the Spurs, but like specifically Wemby. Like he had a different mentality about him, and Wemby didn't respond to it. I mean, obviously, he got hurt early on in the game. It's unclear how much that affected his game later on. I think what he ended up with like 6 shot attempts, 7 shot attempts, something like that.
Yeah, I didn't have it pulled up. I can pull it up real quick.
I've
6 on 5 attempts, 1 of 5.
Yeah. 6 shot attempts, man. Like you're supposed to be the best player on your team, but like you're supposed to be like people have dubbed you like a top 20 player in the NBA. Like there's no world where you should be shooting the ball 6 times, and specifically against a guy that people are pushing this rivalry on.
D-Town in the chat also mentioned too, like he's got Chris Paul. Like he's one of the best playmakers ever, maybe.
Yeah.
And
that's
so it's like
what I was saying too.
Yeah.
It's like it's his job to like get shots for you, but to Chris Paul's credit and the Spurs credit and Popovich's credit, there was many times Wemby had like mismatches, he had advantages, and he just passed out of them. Like I noted early on in the game, I think it was first quarter, he had Casey Wallace on a post up, like in the mid post, and he passed out of it to the corner. I think it was a Chris Paul 3. It's like
when it's on him.
Yeah, it's like Casey Wallace is a good defender, but like, dude, you've got like a whole like 2.5 feet on him. Like that's the mismatch that you want.
Yeah, that's when it's on him. I think that's where it's like, yeah, there is something to be said about like Wemby doesn't look ready or didn't look ready in this game. So I think that is something to take home. But yeah, I think it's a combination of that and the organization is just like, Popovich is a good coach, but it did not feel like he game planned for him well. And to your credit, what you mentioned too about the Chet, stopping that lob, and it was the double block basically that whole tone set.
They only gave him 1 block though.
I think because the lob technically was a deflection, I guess. Yeah. So whatever, but it was a double block in my case. I low-key see a nightmare scenario where Chet becomes the number 1 option and Shai becomes salty and wants a trade. I do not see that.
Nah.
I do. The first part I read was the part I was mostly looking at. I do wonder, not the number 1 option, but more some of what we talked about last time about, Chet and Shai now sort of, it feels like we're on a trajectory where Chet is the guy and Shai is also the guy. And it's not like, and I think we've always said Shai is 1A and Chet is 1B, but I think it's like you could just alternate those two. They're kind of going in a trajectory where depending on the night, like tonight, Shai had a bad night and Chet kind of took the reins a little bit. He obviously didn't have like a stellar stat line because he had foul trouble in the third quarter. So he kind of like didn't really get back into the offense that much. But yeah, I don't know. It's the MVP race. I'm still going to be going for Shai 100%, but I'm starting to worry Chet's going to take some of those votes away from him. But we won't dwell on that. We're going to focus on the positives.
I think it's way too early. Yesterday was our overreaction episode, so that's where you can say that kind of stuff to your knee. Shai is still far and away. Like I will go out on a limb and say Shai is still far and away the best player on this team. I think there's a lot of reasons why Shai is playing the way that he's playing in these early games. One of which is he's got to get live game reps. Another which is it's saving his body a little bit. Like Shai has drove more than anybody in the NBA for the last 3 years. All right. That's awesome. Like that gets rim pressure. That opens up opportunities for guys. And he's had to do that. We've had to leverage Shai's drive in order to generate any type of offense because we've had very limited spacing. Well, now we have not only a lot of spacing, but we have a lot of good players on this team, capable players top to bottom, like 1 to 15 guys can come in and contribute. Shai doesn't have to put his body on the line every game in order to win these games now. So he's taken this opportunity to limit the driving a little bit, it's not nowhere out of his bag. Like he still has that, as we saw in the third quarter, fourth quarter. When he wants to, he can drive into the lane. He can finish at the rim. He can pull up on the midi. He's still got that in his game. But this is like the modern style basketball. Your best player needs to be able to shoot the 3-pointer. And Shai has been streaky at best in the past, and he's trying to change that. He's trying to diversify his game a little bit. And he's able to leverage his teammates, his better teammates that he's ever had, to save his body a little bit and add to his game. And I think that if you're able to do that, like that's a win. Like a lot of people are saying Shai's trolling. I've even joked around and said Shai's goofing off against like this game and the Chicago game. Because if you look at the Hawks and the Nuggets game, like Shai's locked in, and like the stats support that. The Bulls in this game, the stats aren't like fully there, and it kind of looks like it definitely looks different. It looks like he's not taking this seriously, but I fully believe that is why. And once it comes playoff time, ideally it's a nice mixed bag of driving and shooting.
Yeah, I think we can have more elaborated and eloquent thoughts on Shai and his game and Chet and the Fry Pod. So if you're listening right now, tune in Friday. We'll have more deep dive on all of it. Again, this is just more of like an initial thoughts thing. Also, I forgot to mention at the beginning, if you're in the chat right now, or if you're watching live, or if you're watching later, definitely like and subscribe. We're trying to get those subscribe numbers up for the YouTube. So I'm going to be trying to do more of these throughout the season, some more like YouTube exclusive stuff. So definitely subscribe so you don't miss them. Dub was the only other guy off the top of my head that I did want to mention just real quick. I thought that, like shooting wise, it wasn't the best, but he was like, I put the stat sheet up at halftime. I think he was like close to averaging a quadruple double by halftime. He had like 5 steals.
They took one away. He only has 4 now.
Damn. Okay. Well, that sucks. But the point is, he was really like padding the stat sheet a lot, even though, he wasn't the one scoring all the time. So I think even then, he was making somewhat of an impact. I think it went a little bit under the radar. We have one more surprise guest in the stream. Hello, Alex. How are you?
What up? How y'all doing?
What up? We're just chatting with the chat.
Chatting with the chat and chats, baby.
And chats, a little YouTube. Quick recap, exclusive. So yeah, I just wanted to give him his flowers a little bit, just because it may have gone a little bit underneath. So we have Euro Thunder in the chat saying during the playoff we will still need IR whether Shai and Chet have improved or not. Thunder running one big man with small ball roster is risky against bigger teams, and it showed last season. Definitely agree.
It showed tonight, honestly. Like when Chet got that third foul, and he was trying to argue that he didn't hit Wemby in the face, and it was funny.
Questionable call, by the way.
Well, no, they actually showed he was talking to Mark, and Mark looked at the jumbotron. He's like, "Yeah, you hit him. Sit down."
Yeah, he definitely made contact. He made contact, but the overreaction from Wemby was.
Oh yeah. It was an acting job, but like immediately the Spurs got like 3 or 4 buckets, like right at the rim after that.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy the lineup after that, where literally Dub was the center, he was the 5, and they did pretty good. Wembanyama just had a bad game tonight. I think we could have put anybody out there, and he would have over dribbled, under dribbled. Like he was in his head too much this game, I think.
Yeah, I think we had mentioned it earlier, but that Chet initial double, quote unquote double block was what set the tone. But yeah, I had a thought and then I lost it. Oh yeah, the iHeart is definitely going to be needed. I think also because Chet played 82 games last year, but I think he's he's gonna need some backup size. I think
we don't
he's
want him
gonna
to do
get
that this year.
Yeah, I think he's going to get beaten down a little bit, and I think, and they mentioned in the broadcast too, and we've said it a lot too as well. But it'll allow him to sort of expand his offense a little bit more than what it is. But yeah, the iHeart is definitely missed for sure. By the way, I didn't mention it when we talked about Chet, but like the shot's back, 3-3 from deep.
Oh yeah,
we just need to quickly acknowledge that. Well,
but I don't know if you've talked. I mean, you said you mentioned all the people you're going to talk about, but there's somebody that was pivotal to the win tonight.
Fire it off. We'll go. If you have any other guys in the chat that you want to mention, put them in the chat now. We'll talk about them to wrap up. But Dylan, give us your guy.
Jerry's favorite player, man, Lugens Dort.
Pulled
out the flamethrower, dude.
3-point champion.
So needed.
Lugens Dort.
So needed.
6 of 8 from 3, and that shot is pure, man. Like every single one of them was like straight nylon, like straight down.
It would have been 6 of 7 if it wasn't like Wemby having an insane block on one of them. But yeah,
he heat checked the last one.
Yeah, he
did.
What's his season total now? It's like something like 9 of 15, or something like that.
I'll look it up.
10 of crazy. Like 18. I think it's 10.
Yeah,
of 18.
He low key was going under the radar when we were talking about the shooting woes the last few games. He was actually like one of the best at the time, and just kept doing it today.
So he started 0 of 2 game 1, 1 of 3 game 2. Then he was 4 of 6 last game, and then of course 6 of 8 tonight. So that puts him at 11 of 19. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good, I'd say. Pretty good.
Which is 57.8%.
Totally sustainable.
Sustainable. Yeah.
I mean, he's got Ray Allen shooting for him now, so.
Yeah.
Klay Thompson, who? That's right. Clay Gents Dortson is what we call him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oof.
You could have just did the first name. It would have been
that's
fine.
That's just a YouTube exclusive. You won't hear that anywhere else.
Clay Gents.
That's why you subscribe to this channel.
Ragent's Dort, yeah.
Ragent's Dort, yeah, that would work.
I'll tell you what, hey, I don't know if y'all talked about him, but Dylan's boy, Jang Gang.
Yes, sir, baby.
Yeah. Okay.
What did I say last night?
Hey, role play. As far as a role player,
mm-hmm.
he is playing his role to a T.
Yeah.
Like he is out there. He's spacing the floor when he's out there. He's just being big because he's 6'10" and he has like a 7'2" wingspan. Like he is just doing what he needs to do to be out there. And I kind of said this, I kind of put out a tweet whenever we got the tweet about Jalen Williams, and I hope Jalen Williams doesn't go the route of Poku and JRE, where an injury kind of like completely knocks him out of the rotation, because that next man up mentality, Jang is doing it. Jang is playing very well out there. He's playing his role very well. And he even, he went out there and battled with Wemby for a little bit, So I was very impressed.
We didn't mention it. Yeah. Jay Will was reported 4 to 6 weeks, or was it 6 to 8? Forget.
4 to 6.
4 to 6. Yeah.
Extra 4 to 6.
Extra 4 to 6. So yeah, that was a little disheartening.
4 to 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little disheartening for sure. But
that takes him basically to the end of this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing that's impressive with Jang, like the numbers aside, obviously he's shooting it confidently. He knocked down the 3. It was great. He was rebounding the ball good. He got a block. But his passing, man, like he's being a willing and active passer. Like he had that one to Wiggins that was like, I think that was his one assist, in which he got like off an extra pass, and then he kicked it to Wiggins down low for the layup. But he had many just like give and go, like right back to you, like quick pass, quick decision, like the ball hits in his hands and doesn't stick. And again, garbage time, started getting his bag a little bit, tried to, work on the step back in the corner.
What was that Euro like?
Oh my gosh.
Step.
That's the Globetrotter step right there, man. That's
the
all
pause
the way
layup
around the world.
Like if he would have put that foot down, it would have been a travel, but he did not put the foot down.
He did
not.
I don't think people understand how hard that is.
Oh yeah, momentum.
The body
your
control
momentum will carry you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. I did like
beautiful. That. The Jang step.
Yeah.
Before we go, I'm trying to check if our parlay hit. I forgot to check.
I don't think Dub got his points.
The over didn't hit either. So
the over absolutely did not hit.
Listen, we're gonna do another one at some point. We just need to hit the over. Why? I don't know why we've been saying over. We need to hit the under because why would we hit the over with this defense?
I usually stay away from points whenever I do games just because it's hard to predict.
It is. Yeah. We'll come back again. But yeah, we'll be back on Friday. We'll discuss in more detail. I think we pretty much hit the main things, so we'll probably mainly focus on the more recent game. But thank you for tuning in.
I was just gonna say, Alex joined late. I wanted to see if he had anything else to say before we closed out.
I mean, I just wanted to say that I called the rookie guard battle on the last podcast, and AJ Mitchell showed the frick out. Like,
he's here.
Impressive. He is impressive as far as like Aaron Wiggins type impressive. Like second round pick. He's going out there from day one. He's performing. He's getting more comfortable every game. That's the thing. Like, first game you saw the jitters. You saw a shot here or there. Wasn't even close. Like kind of like dribbling the ball and just kind of like not necessarily knowing the speed of the game. By the third game, he's throwing lobs to Chet. The fourth game, he's out here, in crunch time for the most part. In the fourth quarter, driving to the basket and making layups that continuous to keep our lead. Like, it's been very impressive. And I know the Spurs, for the most part, outside of Wemby, outside of the veterans, are basically a G League team. I get that. But you're still performing while the other NBA players are out there. And, I mean, two-way contract, man. Like, wow.
Yeah, I told Tierney, I was like, it's not crazy considering how this rookie class has been to think that AJ Mitchell could make a rookie team.
I think it's very
second
possible.
Team easily. I mean, first team hell. No one has shined.
No. Yeah. No one's really took a step up. So, if he's on this trajectory, I'm very excited. Very excited. So, just another guard to make a difference.
Giving him 15 to 18 minutes a night.
Yeah.
Play, young man, play.
He took it to Stephen Castle. Yeah.
Yep. I want to say real quick in closing, my final thoughts. Before the game, it came out that Victor Wembanyama wasn't even.
I forgot to mention
name. I put out a tweet. I don't know why. Like, it made me feel some type of way about it just because of how corny it was for Wemby to come out and say that. So I tweeted out the stats. We don't got to talk about the stats. You guys know the stats. You can look them up. I said if Wemby doesn't want to call Chet by name, he could just call him Daddy. So.
Ooh, nice. It's very funny in hindsight now that, like, it's just very apparent to me that Chet is in Wemby's head, like, so hard because, like, why would that even be a thing you're thinking about to not talk about him or, like, and then the fact that he just is immediately rattled as soon as he gets, a poor offensive possession because of Chet. It's just he is owning that matchup right now. So
this is not we are not a good matchup for him because not only do you have to deal with Chet, but you have all these guards running.
Yeah, the guards. Yeah,
swarming on him.
Yeah, they did amazing on him.
Yeah. We were saying that he had no shot tonight. He had no shot. So, all right, boys, that's it. Thank you all for tuning in to the chat. Again, thank you for the donation by Euro Thunder. We appreciate it. And we'll be back Friday on post game, very late. So
we'll be there.
If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to stick around there. And that's it. So
I mean, hopefully we'll be able to get the podcast started maybe by the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Yeah. The goal is a 30-point margin leading into the fourth quarter. That is what I want.
Yes. Although
Because-
they're keeping it close against who are they playing? The Clippers.
Yeah.
They're keeping
Or
it
the
close.
Clippers are just bad. Maybe again. Who knows?
They have.
Hopefully, that'd be great.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah. All right. I don't know what we want to do for these because it's not the actual pod. I mean, we could do the normal Thunder, or we could do like.
I mean, you got to ammo Thunder up.
Just trying to think of something different.
Hoop while you can.
Thanks for tuning in to the YouTube exclusive post-game recap. Join us next time as we do it again. Hoop when you can. As always, Thunder the frick up.
Thunder up.
Thunder
Hey, go.